Hi BookTube, Sarah here, and welcome to my channel. I am coming to you with a video I had not at all planned on filming. It is going to go up on Friday night, and you guys have already gotten a Friday Reads from me. You're going to see this one, and tomorrow on Saturday, you're going to get another video, so I apologize for the video overload from me. But I wanted so badly to sit down and do this. Well, my thoughts and everything were still really fresh. So what I'm here to talk to you guys about today is the Netflix reboot of The Babysitter's Club. It came out today on July the 3rd. It premiered, and there are 10 episodes. They're about 20 to 25 minutes a piece, and I literally just finished watching all 10 of them. And I thought I would sit down with you guys and talk about them, or talk about the reboot itself. The reason being, this was very important to me. This show, I was so scared they were not going to do it right. The Babysitter's Club is such an integral part of my childhood and my reading journey. It is what, they were the books that really truly got me reading on my own, reading books that I truly loved. The generation, after me, of course, it was Harry Potter, but for me as a child in the 80s, the Babysitter's Club was life. I read every book. I remember distinctly going into a bookstore that was in our mall. It was a little independent bookshop. He would call me and call the house and say the new book is in, and my mom and I would go over and I'd have my allowance and I'd buy the new book and I'd immediately gobble it up in a day or so. They are the books that my dad first bought me. Like, these were the first books that I owned that were mine. When he came back from a trip, he brought me back a box set of 4 of the books in the series, and it literally changed. These books changed my reading life. I mean, I'm not trying to be dramatic about it, but it's true. Would I have eventually later on gotten into reading? Probably, but these were the catalyst at the time. I was like 10 years old, and now I'm 41, so 31 years this series has lived with me. These characters have lived with me, and I didn't think that this would make me as emotional as it did, but it did. And I know some of you might find that silly, but it really, really meant something to me, and I was so scared going into this series that they weren't going to do it justice, that it wasn't going to translate from what the books were when they came out in the 80s, in the 90s, to what they are today, or to what the show became today for a 2020 audience. And oh my God, you guys, they nailed it. They did. I actually got teary-eyed watching the first episode. The casting was unbelievably brilliant. The girls were an utter delight. It was perfect. Yes, they updated it for more, like I said, for a 2020 audience. Dawn was, in the books, was your typical Southern California blonde, blue-eyed. You forgot that she didn't look like the Dawn that you associated with the books because her personality was Dawn, if that makes sense. They don't have to look like how you picture them to be the character that you always knew. That was Dawn. That on that screen, as far as I'm concerned, was Dawn to a T. Marianne was the same way. Christy was bang on. Oh my gosh, it was and Claudia was a delight, an absolute delight. I wanted to hug her. And I know this is going to sound weird too, is that I'm so pleased that they actually looked 12 years old. How many shows have we all watched where, these characters are supposed to be, however old they are, when in reality they look a lot older. And, the way they talked and the things that they did, it was so reminiscent, and it was such a throwback, and it was just amazing. Alicia Silverstone as Christy's mom. At first, when I saw that, when they announced it however many months ago, I was a little weary because this part of my brain still sees her in Clueless, and I'm like, she's far too young to be Christy's mother. And I forget that she's my age. And what I also loved is that there was so much in there for the older audience, because and I was saying this to my mom, more than half of the people watching this are people like me who read the books as kids and now want to see what's happened. And they threw in some stuff that was specifically for us, the older generation. you know, the vintage phone that Claudia uses, the landline. And there was a mention in it that Christy said something about her mom. She goes, my mother is so clueless. And that made me laugh. There's two scenes and a couple scenes in the first couple episodes where Claudia is wearing the trademark yellow plaid. In one she has pants on and in another she has the jacket on. That to me was a throwback to Clueless. I noticed those things because Clueless is one of my favorite movies. But the episodes themselves, it goes through the first 8 books. They do move the narrative of the books around. So book 6, which was Christy's Big Day, gets moved to book 8. So it like was kind of almost at the end. And then the last 2 episodes are actually based on the second super special, Babysitter Summer Vacation, where they go to camp. And again, some of that changed to what actually happened in that book, but it was still a delight. It still kept true to the stories, as did all the other episodes. So the first episode, you know, very reminiscent of the book. The second episode, if I had one qualm to make, it was that Claudia and the Phantom Phone Caller, something more could have been done with that one. They made it about the fact that Claudia, not that she tried to cheat, but that she tried to pass off a grade that wasn't hers, and there was something about a Phantom Phone Caller, but it just, to me, that was the only episode that may have fallen a bit flat, because the whole premise of that book is that the girls are babysitting, and these strange phone calls are coming in. And they think it's this cat burglar who's going around town, when it turns out it's the boys who are looking to ask them to the Halloween hop, and they just are too afraid to actually talk to the girls. So I was a little disappointed in that one, but the rest of them were all so well done. I love the representation in this. Like, if the Babysitters Club had been written now as opposed to in 1986, this is absolutely what I could have seen it being. And it still stayed true to the main plot of the stories, which is the friendship of the girls. And, you know, the very last episode at the camp, there's a scene at the end where they're all standing underneath the camp, like Camp Moosehead thing, and they're all got their arms around each other, and and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait a minute. And I actually brought up the image of the book cover for the Babysitter's Summer Vacation, and the girls are standing and doing the exact same pose as they are in the book. I know it's silly that this is making me emotional and that I actually wanted to sit down and talk about it, but it just makes me so happy. You actually got to also meet Jesse and Mallory, who were not tagged as main characters. They don't appear until the camp episodes. Well, Mallory appears in the Sea City episode, Stacy, Boy Crazy Stacy, which I think was episode 6? I think 6 or 7. So yeah, at the end of the day, you guys, it was fabulous. It was absolutely fabulous. I highly encourage you to watch it. If you're on the fence like I was and you're not too sure, give it a shot. The costuming was fantastic. The girls were an utter delight. I can't stop raving about this one. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. And I am really hoping, fingers crossed, that we get a season 2. Anyway, I just wanted to come in here and kind of share my first impressions, if you will, or my thoughts on, my final thoughts on watching the series. And yeah, if you were a fan of the BSC when you were growing up and you're of a certain age like I am, definitely watch the Netflix series. You will not be disappointed. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching this, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care and happy reading, everybody. Bye.